new report by the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program should be causing alarm bells to be ringing in Rockville at MCPS headquarters. This report, which compares MCPS efficiency with the other Maryland public school systems, where once MCPS was considered one of the best, now eighth grade math hits are last place, while many other subjects of MCPS ranks among the bottom 5 of the school systems. Mike, the results of this assessment are quite revealing. MCPS students perform quite well through the 5th grade, but drop off dramatically in the middle school years. What contributes to such a disappointing turnaround?
Well, it's interesting. I actually went back and looked at the assessments, and I'm not sure exactly the document that you had pulled up and shared, but the reality is that, yes, our test scores aren't where we want them to be, but all of the categories I looked at were actually above the state average. So I think everyone acknowledges that we're not where we want to be. And one of the big changes that's already taken place this year is we have a new superintendent. And so I think there's an acknowledgement that we're not where we need to be, and we need to really double down on how we're kind of beginning to address many challenges within MCPS. One of the challenges I know we're continuing to confront is just recognizing the diversity in our school system and making sure that we've got the tools in place that all learners can be met where they are and ultimately be successful. And I know that just this past week, the new superintendent met with the Black and Brown Coalition to begin to explore ways and the concerns that they have representing African-American and Latino families and making sure that the tools are in place to help their students thrive. And so we're not where we need to be. I think there's an acknowledgement we're not where we need to be. And I think that at least steps are being taken under new leadership to begin moving in the right direction.
Okay, I'll come back to one of those points that you just made, Mike, in a second. But Stacey, there are those that want to kind of slough this off and suggest that this manifestation in middle schools is attributed to the remote learning programs during COVID. It is nothing to be alarmed about. I mean, what do you say?
Casey, what do they mean this is nothing to be alarmed about? This is a 5-alarm fire with innocent children in burning buildings. The one job these administrators and teachers are in place to do is to help these children reach their fullest potential. And so truly, what difference does it make if it's COVID, remote learning, social media, or any other distraction of being a teenager in general? It's a major problem and one that's been festering for a long time. And our political leaders treat Maryland like an ever and overflowing honeypot, I think. And particularly in Montgomery Sanctuary County, we have a steady infusion of non-English speaking migrants, both legal and illegal, into the system who increase class sizes and require greater resources, time, attention, and money. So we've also seen a flight of many well-qualified teachers who are feeling fed up with the current system and are leaving. So at what point do we, the tax-paying citizens, say enough and demand a change in the system that is solely focused on rigorous academics and truly preparing our children for life? I'll close by saying, what more do we need to know about this than Maryland is now taking lessons from Mississippi on how to improve our once vaunted school system?
Well, you bring up an interesting point, Stacey, and Mike brought this up as well. I mean, the fact is, parents are becoming very frustrated. Mike pointed out about the Black and Brown Coalition meeting that was held this week, but it seems that all parents are becoming frustrated with the system. But we have an election in 10 days, and there are several Board of Education members that are going to be re-elected because they're on the Apple ballot. When are Montgomery County parents going to vote their choices? That's what I want to know.
Actually, Casey, none of the incumbents were endorsed by the Apple ballot. So, and interestingly, I'll be curious to see who gets elected. None of the Apple ballot candidates are incumbents, and so the question will be, what are people looking at and what are people evaluating as they elect Board of Ed members? Are they looking for experience? Are they looking for new perspective? And I think that'll be very interesting to see. But I agree. I think there is frustration. I think the fact that we are among the most diverse communities in the country is not a negative, Stacey. We've been among the most diverse communities in the country for the last 25 years. And in fact, we've unfortunately not kept the gains that we'd made in the early 2000s, where we recognized that and really had put programs in place, and unfortunately have had backsliding. And I think we've seen that as a result of changes in leadership. And I think it's acknowledged now that we've got to, finally, I think we're getting to the point where leadership is recognizing the changes had to be made and are moving in that direction. They're nowhere near where they need to be. I mean, to your point, it's a challenge, it's a crisis, and we've got to address it. And we're well positioned to be able to do it, but you've got to buckle down and really focus on it. And I think the next year is going to be really compelling to see what's happened.
Well, there is an outstanding candidate in Brenda Diaz, and Brenda Diaz takes the academics more seriously probably than any of the others do in terms of having a hardcore academic curriculum. And she's an educator. She's incredibly intelligent and talented as a teacher. I think that she would serve Montgomery County quite well. Mike, my comments are not to say that we don't want or desire diversity here. Diversity is, I think, a great positive for Montgomery County. The problem that we're seeing, and it's not just here, but it's across the country right now, is that we've had this mass infusion of illegal immigrants. Montgomery County is not immune to that. And so, when you're inviting people to come here and they get the benefits and they come and they take advantage of our school system as well, they should. These children need to be educated. It's straining our resources. And at what point, to my point, is when do we ask the question, when is enough enough? Can we please take care of the hardworking tax-paying citizens here in Montgomery County first?
And I think that's exactly where the focus is. And I think we need to make sure that we're addressing the right tools to adequately meet the needs of our growing diverse population, wherever they're coming from, however they're getting here, because that's our commitment.